Hello. When I got to study in Rome with my Italian background, I thought, okay, this is going to be a cinch. But when I got to Rome, I found out being Italian meant so much more. And there were foods in Italy that I had never even heard of back here. And like carbonara, was the first time I ever ate calamari was in Rome. But one of my favorite dishes that I never had eaten until I went to Rome was penne arrabbiata, which means angry pasta. And so I would always go to restaurants in Rome when I ordered penne arrabbiata. I would get penne arrabbiata con funghi al forno, which means with cheese baked in the oven. Because the angry pasta is a little spicy. It might like burn your, I'm not a great person that likes a lot of like heat, but this is very good. And the cheese that melts on top of it really kind of mellows out the spiciness. So it kind of balances very well. So it's a very simple dish. I start by boiling water. Now you always want your water to be salt. They say salty as the sea. So I'm taking like a whole handful of salt, sea salt, and just putting it in there, maybe even a little bit more. So we want that water salty. So we're going to let that rise to a boil before we put in, today we're going to use an Italian penne, okay? Now the cost of getting dried pasta that's actually imported from Italy versus buying American is not that great anymore. And this really is the better way to go. Same way with this. This is Marzano tomatoes, and they're grown like down in the Naples area where Mount Vesuvius is, and so the soil has got all that ash and built up over the years from the volcano. And there's no tomatoes quite like this. So what I simply do is these whole tomatoes is pour them in a bowl. You gotta wash another bowl. I've done this over the stove at times, but it kind of squirts all over. And I just, with my hands, you can use an immersion blender, but I just kind of squish, see? Take the tomatoes, and why I like to do this by hand versus the emulsion, because at the end of the tomato, oftentimes, there is this really kind of unpleasant little core. And so you want to get all the meat off that, but the core, you don't need to put that in your sauces. So. And this, as it cooks, is going to break down anyway. So just, whoops, see what I mean? It goes all over the place. So just kind of take them, and then we see this also has some basil, and you can just leave the basil in there. Take it and just squeeze it in your hands. And if you find that little, like this one's got one. Actually, I had two little pieces here that we don't want in here. Okay? I'm going to now create a sauce for this. This is the base of the sauce. I'm using Trader Joe's extra virgin olive oil, but I've actually put inside here Trader Joe's garlic flavored olive oil because I like that extra little flavor. So I'm going to really be pretty generous on the bottom here as we build our base for this. And you know what I realize I need also is some tomato paste. So into that skillet, which I'm going to turn up to medium heat, I'm going to add, this is 4 cloves of garlic. So I'm going to add the garlic. And remember, don't put this heat too high because your garlic's going to burn as it turns bitter. So we don't want that to happen. I'm going to put about a tablespoon of tomato paste here. All right. I'm going to take, I got about 4 anchovies. Now, people get like grossed out with anchovies, but you know what? They're not even going to know they're here. They're just going to melt into this as you cook them. And mash them up a little bit before I put them in. As they heat up, they're just going to fold into there, and they just add a subtle taste. Now, I've talked about this in other videos. This is amazing stuff. This is calabrese pepper paste, chili pepper. It is it just adds so much flavor, but it also adds heat, so you have to be pretty lenient with this. You want to pile this in here. So I'm going to put, we'll see, we'll taste, but this I think is going to be more than enough for this dish. So you can see all those ingredients in there. We're going to cook those things. Basically, once I add my sauce to this, that is the sauce. We're just going to heat this up, break down those anchovies in here. I would recommend, I just was saying this before the video began, I really prefer to do the anchovy paste. We couldn't find any, so we got the jar of anchovies, but I would just prefer it already ground up. So putting all this here, our water is now boiling. So we're going to add our pasta. And remember, whatever the package says, cut off a couple minutes, especially in this case because we're going to put this in the oven. So you can see around the edges now we got a little simmering going on. That's good. We're just going to heat this up a little bit, get the flavors released. And then I'm going to add my bowl of tomatoes. I like to make this dish, especially during Lent, because it's meatless. I mean, you could, I suppose you could add meat to. I've never had it with, you could just make I guess a spicy tomato sauce with like sausage or something. But this traditionally does not have any meat in it. So after the sauce is cooking a little while, I just have in here a half teaspoon of salt and pepper. This is something that I always have a hard time with. I like to let people season salt. I'm very sensitive to salt. I got high blood pressure, so typically I never add salt to anything that I do. But, you know, it does liven, certainly makes the flavors bounce. So, now this is going to have a very simple, very uncomplicated taste profile, but it's going to have that heat. And you may not notice it immediately, but after it goes down, it is angry. It's going to burn. That's why we're going to put some cheese on top of this to kind of cut that between the pasta and that. I hope that's enough. Okay. Drain our pasta. And now I'm simply going to, turn the fire off on this. I'm just going to pour the penne into the sauce. And just stir it in here. You can see the basil still is intact here. So I got a nice blending of that. I'm going to put just a little bit of water in here because some of that's going to burn off when we put it in the oven. And then I'm going to take it, oops, heavy, and I'm just going to put it into this casserole. Okay. You can use mozzarella. Most people will put grated cheese. In Italy, they use the fresh mozzarella, so you have like big hunks in there. I prefer provolone cheese, and I like slices more than the grate because when it melts, it's going to sink all in evenly across here. So put this in, get this covered so it's even, and then you can actually cover over because it's all going to bubble up. And now we're going to stick this in the broiler. And so one of the things we're going to do is a pork belly. And so I've taken a pork belly, I've scored it, I've salted it on the fat side turned it over, and salted and brown sugared the bottom of it. And so now it's been roasting for about 3.5 hours on 250 degrees. I'm going to take it out and finish it off by frying it in a skillet. So first thing we do is we remove it from the oven. Too bad you can't smell what's going on here because it smells wonderful. Watch the... So that looks nice as it is, but it's not crispy enough. You want that skin to be super, super crispy. And so we're going to take it, try to get underneath it. And I'm putting this in about 1/2 cup of olive oil. It is not heated. So you put it like that, and then you turn the heat on. And we're going to start seeing bubbles take place on the side. When this is done, if it's successful, when you bite into it, you're going to hear crunch, and then you're going to get that soft, juicy bacon flavor underneath. It's very tender. Now going in, it was easy. There you have crispy pork belly. Penne arrabbiata al forno con funghi, or funghi al forno. Mr. Wolf, we got a larger size for you.
Thank you.
Andrew heard we were cooking today, so he just decided to hang out.
Yeah, I've got like 6 minutes before this meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
So, penne arrabbiata, pork belly, which we haven't tried yet, but we will. Because you're in the kitchen with Padre, I hope you enjoy it. Like us, share this video, and we'll see you next time.